Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I would like to talk about something that has been bothering me for a while now with Destiny 2's seasonal model, and that's basically how it feels like we're in somewhat of a soft version of resetting. Well, this feels like the same exact thing, and that's just under a different name. I think it's really hurting weapon diversity, build crafting, and ultimately our freedom to play with the weapons we've invested in. So here's my personal problem, is only certain new or featured weapons can actually take advantage of these mods, which means that if you've got an older weapon, even one you've invested prisms and ascendant alloys into, whether it be fully crafted or maybe even target farm for hours in the previous way that they had it set up via the lost sectors, it's suddenly sitting a tier below anything else or even less. And if you're a personal collector like I am, I use weapons a lot of the time, such as like the Parabellum or the Anamnesis or the Yarv at MG4, which are just some of my favorites that I've used over the years, and I like a lot of the roles that are available on them. Personally, whenever I saw how heavy a lot of the solar mods were this season, I was really excited to be able to pull out the Parabellum, and then I found out that they have this seasonal label upon them, ultimately not necessarily making it useless, but rendering it not as useful as other solar choices, i.e. the Yeartide Apex. Now, that's not to say the Yeartide Apex is a bad weapon, I just simply have a preference. And that is a preference for a weapon that has been in the game for quite some time, and I very much enjoy it. Now, a weapon like the Parabellum or the Yarv at MG4, yes, they're great on paper, but they can't equip things like the Temporal Blast or Temporal Reloader or anything along those lines simply because they are key seasonal mods. They're basically handicapped, and that investment that you made does not matter since you simply can't take advantage of the current sandbox tools. And it's not just the legendaries, this has obviously affected the exotics too, which should never feel like a second-class citizen form of drop in a loot-based game. These are exotic weapons that we're talking about. Now, I know Bungie did do a little bit of backstepping, saying that come Renegades, they are going to make all the exotics in the game quote-unquote featured. Now, that is great for certain weapons that I do use as well, but I'd feel like that's somewhat of a small bandage upon the problem, given the fact that we have far more weapons that are in the game than are seasonal weapons that are going to be added to the game. This is just sunsetting with a different coat of paint, honestly. Official sunsetting removed older weapons by making them unusable in endgame content, whereas this version simply makes them undesirable by locking them out of the tools that matter the most in the current season. Either way, it's the same result, and we're pushed to ditch our favorites in favor of what's new and or featured, which is a very disappointing thing for me because I've never been somebody that just comfortably moves into the brand new content, because I always do have a lot of appreciation and enjoy a lot of the loot stuff that is already in the game and some of the combinations that are there. That's the thing that's fun to me, is putting together builds and things that are viable with what is available to us. Now, the tragedy here is, like I said, that Destiny has hundreds of weapons completely across its loot pool, crafted roles, raid rewards, dungeon drops, you can honestly name it. The excitement of finding that perfect forever weapon was ultimately part of the appeal, to the looter shooter aspect of Destiny. But what's the point of grinding for a god roll if it can't keep up in the sandbox simply because it missed the seasonal spotlight? It's simply not good because they're making it not good, not because the mods aren't available there for it. A Parabellum with Temporal Blast or Temporal Reloader or whatever those mods available would be phenomenal. The Parabellum has a lot of roles that I feel like aren't available on other weapons. Field tested feels phenomenal, and it simply is a different experience with seasonal mods that you can't get on Yeartide Apex. And as much as we want to make an argument for which weapon is better, that's not what this video is about. It's about the diversity of build crafting and being able to play the game how you would like to, and not being bottlenecked into one particular weapon or seasonal mods. This bottlenecking build crafting ultimately just creates such a frustrating point to be at. So instead of experimenting with hundreds of guns that match your playstyle, everyone gets funneled down the same exact cookie cutter loadouts, because why would you use something that doesn't benefit from seasonal mods? The game preaches creativity and build freedom, but then turns around and quietly cuts off half of your arsenal from really coming about. And while Bungie did announce that in Renegades all exotics will be featured, which is a great step, don't get me wrong, I still find a very empty space in my heart as to why legendary weapons have to be stuck in this weird limbo. Why should a dungeon or lost sector weapon I target farm for hours upon hours simply be a step below seasonal drops just because of mod access? It doesn't make any sense from player investment at all, and I highly doubt that you could find an argument to comfortably have me understand why this system is in place. I guess, more closing thoughts. So yeah, in my eyes, this is just another form of sunsetting. Maybe it's not as blunt as slapping a power cap on older guns, but it still undermines the time, effort, and resources that we put into our arsenal. If Bungie really wants us to enjoy the depth of this game, they need to make seasonal mods far more inclusive than they currently are. Let us apply them to the weapons we actually want to use, and not just the handful that we were picked this season. That's just my personal take, but I would love to hear from you guys. Do you feel like the current seasonal model is kind of soft sunsetting, or do you think that Bungie has a bigger design reason for restricting these mods? Be sure to drop your comments because I think this is a conversation worth having as we head into Renegades. I think we're at a pivotal point in the game where a lot of people seem to be juggling between whether or not they enjoy the experience they're having or if they actually feel enticed to play the game or not. I still have the same exact sentiment that I've always had. I love the gameplay. The feeling of Destiny provides something to me that no other game currently can, you know, especially in the looter shooter market. I know we have Borderlands 4 coming out recently, but it's by no means any slander towards it. I've just never been the biggest of Borderlands fans. I've always been a Destiny fanatic, if you will. I really hope this situation gets a little bit more light shed upon it. But with that being said, it's been your boy Turk here at SGN Hub. And as I said, be sure to let your comments be known in the comment section and be sure to look out for another video. Peace.